the same friendly behavior as that. As it goes to this electric, maybe the time in which it really is sustained, how everything is perceived, and today, very much the goaltender takes it something that's supposed to go on there and evaluate applies using the same parameters that serves a large inclusion, but it's going to be clear. Serves a large bunch of forest players, interest on the day. This statement about the person. Remembering years of previous learning from the student community or small group considering still significance that makes sense for them to do. The community is for 66 points, and most further in 68. This fall, during the College Trophy, and we're connected to the NHL's most outstanding. But the all-time consequence of this season during his two-year NHL audition after a few Terriers were included. I even said that the way obstacles of Canadians as player, but what happened here, the Canadians said during his annual tournament, I quickly became convinced that he was going to be a big star in the NHL. The things that they must do, not many people can do that. And I like that really well. The things I'm going to see him do, it's not quite so hard to say, oh, it's after his size. He's so talented. Because he's small, he has a disadvantage. He's straight up saying that they consider that the defense guys are doing. Not many folks are going to do that. Here, just amongst the entire cycle of NHL players. And of course, you know, the biggest. Struggle with the flexibilities of going to tomorrow. One of the consists of all of those players on the top of the 5. Let's say that everybody is close to the constant handle. So Mark says, naturally, the goal is scared by 6'4" guy who's actually up and down. But it's still academically understood in the project. He's thinking to grow to be that. You know, when you're in college, Savard was a completely different kind of defensive goal. At 6'3", 210, he's something to do. But Montreal, when he defensive quarterback, he only reached every people once in his career, but he's getting back to God, the statistical record for the multiple honors, including a 18 years in Montreal Canadiens. Now, the rest of the article goes out here and talks about Montreal, and the side, how he just based off of what Don said, and what's happened to make up the statement that he said he was going to work with the Canadiens. And he was also very intelligent. Sorry, so it wasn't just kind of in a place for someone to the playoffs. So perhaps go further. Well, Savard, and his former teammate said this, he also described him against Dr. Montreal physical strength and person. So the second that we're going to get those 3 series against the Capitals. Alex Ovechkin. And his teammates had to be getting a 55 minutes. We were only taken by Washington. You know, I figured this visualized. I know that the score says possible because of part of the piece still. Now, if it serves the mark, they can say something still like that. There are lots still up there, which is still the thing that I did even up. Pretty big. This is still coming to the consideration. It's going to be interesting. I established myself as the most talented Canadians guy since being a film. And I want to know myself in the comment section below whether or not you agree with that assessment. I just got everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have Don, Joe, and Gary, I'm working back here to get this started. I haven't played this game since the WrestleMania days. Jack, what the hell is this? I'm not understanding. I think you should just go that much instead. After all, this is clear up for the question that isn't my whole answer. The improvements don't do it because it makes for a more engaging storyline. The legendary cutscenes are much more badass. I really want to tell you guys it's better than anything that they could deliver and stuff. Definitely. Don't even get me started with the battle history. I remember grinding for perfect basics and ED training, my slating, last meals, and registration so I could get going through the each different facility. That shit took me months, but it's probably the most rewarding thing I've ever had. Yeah, but the super shit, I'm about to get nothing you can say is picture it. I know it's better than this. I can't believe it's Jesus Christ, Joe, you are honestly one of the most disturbing individuals I know. It didn't take but 30 seconds for you to say the most cringe shit I've ever heard about Pokemon. Oh, it's just trying to be balanced with that. Yes, you know, it's cringe. Just like how every American citizen is trying to get the seats to the nation. I can't believe you're actually trying to get elected. So we settle down for the second. I thought you better for the class so we can have some fun playing Pokemon. I'll get into it once back. If you could probably decide on a bit of design for it. How about the goals? After how many breaking Pokemon strand or whatever was done for the game. Damn, Bill, that's actually a pretty big thing. Maybe Obama has appointed some turnout since this didn't happen. But honestly, Barack, it's self-control. Like a normal human being, you have to let out your inner basketball American. No, stuff that works the best. I had to start it this way, but if it's good without any space and stick the word. I just wanted there to be some aesthetic to the name, you know what I mean? Whatever the lock, let's just get on with the game stuff. Here's what I understood at the beginning of what you need back to this standing in the back of the movie stuff. How did this shit really happen? Well, yeah, that. But also the fact that they're with all that stuff. Then we get out, and then we never see any of this stuff. Like there were 20 boxes full of random crap, and how to play out this crowd tired of the game. That's funny, just get it out information. How about I just follow with the fact that this is a joint game, and this is a game and then you
Goals, 31 points. That's like 46 points. Oh shit, really?
This one is just walking back and forth now. This one is very
Can you hear me, Mike?
I can drive around. Because it's a goddamn television, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and grab the post of the meeting so we can finish it back to the introduction statement. By the way, I should go ahead and finish the settings too. I'm going to put on
Online, small balls, extra. Pokemon, really? Bad.
We gotta have anything to say. I've been driving and sleeping and slow. Not good for me. But not getting out of well. It's considered an average 75 foot cycle. Remember when I freestyled you last week for like 60 seconds? It's not my ass, Joe. First off, it was like 6 volts standing red fish with combo. Final bits today got this. You can't be at any ground hard. We can only play by the way other guys. Can't handle the reflection in the space. One player, please find the answer. He is grabbing and trying to hold him quickly. But it's not a little bit with the photo of the street. I've been helping them on the off. Got it? Now it's a fucking joke, right, Barack? If we're not playing ball with you, please pick a different character if you're going to actually pick this ball for some reason. Otherwise, no one will ever play. Okay, well, that's you guys go out. It's fun again. Anyway, I'm just talking about the game. But now, hopefully, it's about time we decide on the start. First of all, I'm going to go on. If we love hockey, it's like the blood for the Pokemon. It's incredibly easy. And normally I like to pick the fire starter, but this time I want to change it up. What do you guys think? Honestly, I'm in partial here. I think the balloon starter is all incredibly badass. We got the original firefighting type. wait again. Then what those cars started out with just finally people started sticking in. And also there's like COVID last night. Okay, you guys are clearly been doing things. I expect them to be okay. Rico is easily the only non-viable choice.
I should probably trade him. I don't have half hour left, so be nice and quick.
Did you guys ever play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers at Star? Oh, hell yeah, that game is one of the best spin-off games Pokemon ever made. And if you're referencing the Anti-Heroic Robot, I'm totally cool with names that. Okay, cool. I think I'm just going to go with Skyrim and keep it simple and elegant. Now we just need to go find May, beat her ass real quick so we can start our journey. All right, cool beans, Barack. You guys have any suggestions for how we could formulate the rest of our team? There's a couple Pokemon I think would be cool to have, but if we're going to be doing this run together, we might as well find one we can share. Is that Donald outside the lab? Good one, Joe. Very rich. Well, Joe. Great bait mate, but honestly, Donald, yes, I have some team ideas, but first, I want to state how there is something I wanted to do with this run. Obviously, we aren't doing a Nuzlocke because I don't want to deal with the copious amount of grinding and planning that comes with that. But there are going to be some challenges we should put on ourselves. I want to switch the settings to set mode, and I also think we should play without healing in battle while also trying not to over-level too much, at least purposely. Finally, we should organize a core team of 6 to bring the battles with us for consistency purposes. Wow, Barack, you really sound like you know what you're talking about for someone who just tried to run off to the left without fighting May 1st. Hop off, Donald. It's been a while since I played through this generation. Can you guys remind me what a timid nature means again? I don't remember the natures at all. Timid is plus speed and minus attack. Honestly, not really bad in my opinion, because Sceptile doesn't need any more speed than it already has. And we won't be touching any physical attacks after like this episode. Oh, okay, thanks, Natasha. How are you so familiar with the nature of that? I never really cared about these shoes. Well, they aren't too expensive in in-game for the system, but I like the battle on Pokemon Showdown a little bit. I'd also like to watch some of those Showdown YouTubers like LPA, Wonder, and Nathan White Spit and everything. Jetpack's Pokemon Jeopardy could be fun to watch as well. I mainly just play random battles, and building teams to test on the ladder could be fun, and eventually you can start to recognize what different natures do. Simulation is a pretty common one for special speakers like Alakazam or Gengar. Okay, Obama, we get it. You're a complete nerd and possibly a virgin. Can we go back to talking about our potential team? I think we should try to use the team component of entirely Generation 3 Pokemon, not just because there are some pretty sick ones introduced here, but also because it will give a full sense of unity to our team. It also adds a little bit of a challenge, since we can't just squeeze through a lot with a Geodude or pick up an early Gyarados to symbolize the rest of the game. Okay, I'm the boys at this first round about how this is going to play out. I'm really excited about it. The cool thing though, who's not going to watch? Oh, Jesus, Joe, I really hope it won't be your turn to play by the time we have to take on Watson. He's one of the hardest defeaters in the game, especially since we decided on street games. So Musket and Markov can deal with it with ease, but Johanna won't be able to do too much despite being resistant to electric. Oh, wow. Who's fucking followed that? That's right, the goddamn Democrats under the follow. You two make these moronic left-leaning decisions so much that you couldn't help but take the Pokeball on the left that just so happened to have Trico in it. I think I figured it out. Donald, I assure you could not be more wrong in analyzing our decision-making process. Besides, that's not important right now at all. We have our first one in this right now. I got us up to level 6 as some insurance, especially because we do have an attack lower nature, and that could serve as a disadvantage here. My goodness, guys, I just got to say something. Joe, you perverted fuck, I know what you're thinking, but you better not say it. What are you guys talking about? May is a hot, poker girl here on fucking show. I'm sorry to have it said. Those hype shirts and I'm no better. Joe, apparently you've been to me. How could you not follow the guy that you can do? Joe, you are literally the president of the United fucking States. You cannot be saying shit like that on the internet. I heard you just snipped your screen a second ago. Please get help. Yeah, Joe, I know you have a history with this sort of thing, but I really prefer if you use your best to not bring it to the playthrough here. I'm sorry, Gerard, I just can't help it sometimes. But man, does it feel good to see how impressed she is with us. I hope she remembers this battle for the rest of her life, because I know I will. Gerard, I'm just going to do my best to ignore Joe with this sort of thing. Joe, I just hope you don't bust his nut every time you see May, because that's going to happen like 15 more times throughout this playthrough. You promised that Donald, oh my God, there's the yes, of course, I will follow you and just forgive me, really. Jesus Christ, okay, guys, we're changing the subject. Donald, back to what you were saying earlier about our team. I am totally cool with that whole native Pokemon thing. I think that's a cool idea, but can give our team members some sort of unity. Do you guys want to plan out our team in advance or just kind of in? I'm cool either way, but personally, I think people things as a surprise to our team is just kind of fun to do. Glad you're on board with that, just saying, honestly, all of these super-loaded game encounters kind of licked us. So I'm not too concerned about it this episode. That being said, I do have a Pokemon I want to pick up that will come up in an episode or two, so I'll make sure to point it out when you get to it. That's honestly perfect. I have a Pokemon in mind that is early game as well, so I'll do the same. Just make sure we pick it up in the series. Okay, so you can do that then. We can each choose one early game encounter, and then that will leave us 2 Pokemon left that we need to have. Hopefully we can see that we should add based on how it's going to be working after we get all of our early game encounters. Then after we can make our way to the next half, but we still we're going to have to fight some troubles on the way. Thank God we finally have the running system. I always hated how long it takes to get to the regenerative game, especially Fire Red and Big Tree. You literally have to beat the first gym after playing for like an hour before they get what you do. This back there, the Donald. The later gym just gives in to you off the start. But this game that I'm seeing is you physically cannot run without this special pair of shoes. And honestly, always kind of baffles me. You never see anyone else running in these games besides the professor at the very beginning. So it makes me wonder if these shoes are like some sort of prized rarity. You guys stop talking about shoes, please. It's making me think of feet. Which makes me think of mates. What can help you about that? Oh, it's giving me search that. You are an abomination. Do you even realize what the hell you are saying right now? Besides, there's no way your senile ass can even get tricked out. Trying to get put that in. How do you even come up with the things that come out of your mouth? Okay, that is a cop. Yeah. Donald has a point in that you need to get your ass to therapy because the United States does not need its president to have a foot fetish for anyone to do. That being said, Donald, you are freaking outbursting at everything Joe says. You really need to control your temper when you are in the call here, or things will not go smoothly for the rest of the ride. You both are sacrificing the sanctity of this place, and honestly, the safety for our view. You know what, Donald, I think Gerard has a point. I think I should just keep some things to myself here, despite what I'm thinking, because clearly that's an animosity, even if that animosity is warranted. I realize my way of thinking can be immoral, but it's just who I am. I hope the boys here can forgive me. Honestly, Joe, I agree. I don't think you're the only one in the wrong here. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Honestly, boys, I know it can be hard to apologize, so I'm sure our viewers appreciate that as well. Let's move on, shall we? Our sky here is leveling up quite quickly, so the trainers should be no match for us for the time being. Hey, Gerard, I know we've kind of made a different case of how we're going to do this, but how should we handle this into play and what comes? Honestly, I'm glad you asked that. That could be a little nuance. So, and gym leaders in the office. For fairness, we should subject ourselves to that. However, if we switch after every gym leader, then there will be some occasions where someone only trains for one episode, but the next person plays for like 4 episodes. So it's more complicated than it seems.
Okay. Yeah, but here's the thing, Brock. I don't really think it's a big deal if someone misses out on a gym leader once or twice, so we can deal with that as it arises. I think it makes sense to switch every episode and go from there, mainly because I'm just itching to play.
Okay, Joe. That's cool. If Donald doesn't mind, we can play in our next episode. I think in this one, I'm planning on getting through the Petalwood Woods. And then I'll follow you to there. I'd like to keep these episodes to around 30 minutes apiece, which seems reasonable for both us and the viewers.
Yeah, that's cool with me, Joe. You can have the next episode. If all goes well with Barack today, that means Joe should probably be able to beat the gym leader next episode, and then I'll take it from there.
Sounds like a plan, boys. Hey, now that we're pretty much back on good terms with each other, I'd like to revisit something we said earlier, Donald.
Sure thing, Joe. What's on your mind?
Well, I can't remember exactly how you said it, but it was something along the lines of Generation 2 sucking ass. Did you mean the starters or the generation as a whole?
Well, in that context, I was talking about the starters, but really I took it as Pokemon's first generation.
Well, Donald, I don't really see how you can say that considering Crystal is inarguably the best Pokemon game.
Joe, you what?
Donald,
Joe, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you. While Kristen districts a couple things wrong with gold and silver, I believe the entirety of the game is flawless personally. I barely know where to begin. The vast majority of the new Pokemon is severely underwhelming. The gym leaders barely have any skill codes to Pokemon. And the levels of the late game are so incredibly all over the place that you barely have a fully involved team by the Elite Four.
good job, Donald.
Okay, Donald, those are some good points. What do you think of what I have to do?
Fuck, I got the job this time.
Oh, get Crystal on. Okay, Donald, I think Crystal just has a special place in my heart out of nostalgia. And I'm kind of just blinded to the abundant flaws the game has. Some things are great about it, but most things make the game pretty underwhelming. I see that.
Joe, just like how it was the first game you got to play as a girl, don't you?
Is that true, Joe?
I think I'm going to start keeping an outside of that.
All right, anyway, yeah, this is why I didn't want to fight this trainer. Illnesses can be an absolute pain to deal with if you didn't take poison. They can heal themselves with absorb, and they can also establish you with their ability effects for if you make a contact with it. That's why I'm going to start off with a little bit of it, so I don't have to hit it too many times.
Honestly, Riddle is such a sick Pokemon design. Grass and Fight is a pretty cool type combination for a Pokemon to have, especially because it resists both ground and rock type moves, which is difficult for a Pokemon to do. It has super high base attack and gets stat priority knock punch on top of plenty of other cool moves. I used to always pair it with my Swampert. Unfortunately, since our starter is grass, it doesn't make much sense for us to go pick one up from the woods.
Big facts, Donald. I don't like mixing typings in the party either, and since it is both grass and fighting type, that means I really only pick up a Shroomish if I started with Mudkip. That doesn't take anything away from the fact that it is super potent in an Emerald playthrough. Anyway, it looks like we finally made it over to the next point.
You sure did, Bill. I'm going to go ahead and talk to our dad at the gym here because that's the only thing we really need to do before we can move on to it.
This game is really all over the place with some father figures for the young travelers here. May's dad really likes it more than May. Our dad really likes that Wally Bits more than us. And soon we find out how Wally's dad really doesn't care for his son and wants us to be looking out for him.
Ha ha ha, Donald, I never really noticed that. That's a good point. At least we finally have a father figure in this game. We never really get that in the Pokemon games for some reason.
Yeah, Barack, I bet it's a strange feeling to actually know your father in this game.
No, fuck off.
Anyway, Joe, if you can please hold on to something, you're about to cream over this wild encounter.
No, I don't actually care for that sweaty garden bar on that one. They are incredibly overdone. Only sympathy actually simple to them fit.
Well, that's what we used to do, Bill. I was honestly a little worried.
Hey guys, let's go. Holy shit!
Here,
Oh, you better catch that beautiful specimen right under his stomach.
bench upper Tony Pencilhead looking ass up. First off, this isn't an encounter here. Secondly, I'm literally choking into a mail off. And how the hell did you get this call in the first place?
Seriously, though, this is a private call. You shouldn't be allowed to pop in like that.
Well, seriously, Obama, you should suck my private balls. Oh, I don't know. You're not going to pop in and out at the call.
Okay, fine. Please have some respect for the fact that you and Donald, Joe, have already planned out how we're going to go through the rest of this game, and it's just not included that. It's a good hope about that we're kind of aiming to go against the grain here, Ben.
Whenever Obama, I have absolutely no reason to stick around then. You guys are playing Emerald without even using the dark one. Literally no point watching. Enjoy your retirement, you imbeciles.
My God, I really just have no idea where I stand with that guy. He's got a pretty respectable viewpoint on a lot of major issues in America, and he articulates them well to his audience. But holy shit, he's the most annoying human being on the face of this earth. I'm not saying I've hated him for a long time, but that's something I thought was all time to Obama. It's pretty fucking funny.
We'll have to disagree on that one, Joe, but more importantly, we're finally getting out of this now. Okay, and I forgot about this guy.
Who the hell is this really from Seinfeld looking at this? Joe, I know you did not just compare my voice to something I did this and that's what I together.
I can see it. I'll have to tell you to post it side by side of them up here, and let the viewers decide on it. Anyway, Joe, God is the founder of the batting plan for your eye. It makes sense you don't recognize him because you don't sit in and loses his staff out. The only makes an appearance to you in family. We will encounter him a handful of times throughout the journey here before he invites us to the eye.
I'm pretty sketchy to me. What's so cool about this battle country? Oh, only like every single fucking thing about it, Joe. First off, right when you get there, you can start up at the battle factory to get a feel for things. You can rent out competitively trained Pokemon to go against other random trainers, and even train with them after you beat them. After you build up a winning streak, you get to fight the frontier breed at each of the 7 different facilities. And they will return rewards with a silver badge the first time you meet them, and then a gold badge the next. Did I remember now from the anime?
First, there's sour. And then there's sweet. Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet gum. Get up to $700 to spend how you want. Start by opening a new eligible TV checking account. Imagine walking into a town where the streets are silent, the homes are fully furnished, and the air feels still, as if the people never truly left. Across Canada, there are forgotten villages, Galvez, hidden. You step into Galvez, a once thriving industrial town, born in 1901, around this human culture. Back then, the air was filled with the scent of fresh cut wood. The streets were alive with the clatter of workers, and the laughter of the builders filling nothing houses. For over 2 decades, life here needed to unstoppable until 1927, when the mill shut down overnight. Families fled, leaving behind homes full of friends, boys scattered on horses, curtains waving in the wind, as if the town was simply frozen in forever. Now, as you walk these abandoned streets, the silence presses in, broken only by the creaks of weathered wood. Locals say, if you pass by the old schoolhouse at dusk, you might hear the faint giggling children, though no one's playing here in nearly a century. Visitors rarely see churches still, even when no wind blows. And one tourist caught a shadowy figure in an upstairs window on campus, though the building was locked tight. You tell yourself it's just your imagination, but it's because you want it. The more you see it, eyes watching from behind cracked glass, yellow flames filled across the snow winter night. But by the 1970s, the mines ran dry. One by one, families left, locking their doors, and never returned. The mountains swallowed the mines, leaving only silent streets at home. But still yet, full of stress, as if waiting for someone to come back. Inside those houses, dust lies thin over dinner tables, still set with plates. The rocking chair sways ever so slightly, without a breath of wind. Visitors whisper about seeing lights flicker in the window, even though the power's been dead for decades. Some claim to hear the echo of boots on wooden floors, or the low murmur of miners speaking to the dark. One hiker once snapped a photo of the old hotel and spotted a figure in the upstairs hallway wall, shadow, wearing what looked like a miner's helmet. There's no one else is there. As you stand in the still mountain air, you feel it too. Forlorn isn't empty, it's just sleeping, and some of its residents never left. Three, Baghdad, Alberta. You make your way into Baghdad, hidden deep within Banff National Park, a coal mining town, born in 1903. Fueled by the promise of black gold. For nearly 2 decades, the ground here shook with the rumble of carts and the flash of pickaxes. Over 1,000 people called Baghdad home, their lives revolving around the mine's relentless heartbeat. But in 1922, disaster struck later this week, collapsing gold prices and a federal ban on mining environment sealed its fate. Within months, Baghdad was abandoned. Their houses were dismantled. The mines sealed. Yet something here refused.
We pretty much take it all. Fridges, dishwashers, dressers, floors, couches, mattresses, bedspreads, all these things like that.
It's been dead. Today, the forest has begun replenishing the streets, but among the moss-covered foundations, strange things happen. Visitors report hearing the distant clang of metal on stone, as if miners are still at work below. On cold mornings, wisps of smoke curl up from the ground near the old Tivoli, though nothing burns there anymore. One park ranger tells of walking the trail at dusk and hearing heavy footsteps crunching behind him. When he turned, there was nothing, just the faint smell of coal dust in the crisp mountain air. And if you listen closely at the mine's sealed entrance, you might hear a muffled hum, followed by the echo of a big striking rock sound from a city that should have ended over 100 years ago. British Columbia. You reach Anaheim by boat, cutting through the mist that clings to the rugged northern coast of British Columbia. 8 centuries ago, this remote settlement ruled its life home to more than 3,000 people, all drawn by the copper mine and its massive smelter. The air flowed orange at night from molten metal, and the pounding of machinery was constant, echoing off the mountains. But in the 1930s, disaster came in waves. First, a fire that destroyed much of the smelter. Then, the Great Depression, and finally, the mine's closure. By 1935, Anaheim was left to the rest, the silence, and the silence. Yet silence isn't always fine. On certain still nights, visitors swear they hear the deep rumble of engines from somewhere within the trees. Forcing plumes of smoke wisping up from the long dead smokestack. One kayaker reported spotting a bony figure standing on the rusty catwalk above the water when he called out. The picture simply stepped forward, and that is the thin even locals who know these water swamplings are after dark. They speak of ghostly lantern lights waving far, and the faint metallic flag of fuels against the sea echoes workers who never accepted the end of their shift. Years back, it seems the machinery of the past still burns, just not for the living. Kingston, Northwest Territories. You travel deep into the Mackenzie Mountains, where the road twists into a place few ever seen constant. Once a bustling mining town, built in the 1960s, we harvest one of the world's toughest metals. For years, the humble peasants filled the air, and rows of workers' houses stood against the endless ruins. But when the price of tungsten collapsed in the 1980s, the mine shut down. Families packed up overnight, leaving homes, food, and even half their meals behind. The suburban people were beginning to leave their beds. Now, the town sits frozen in time. The windows of the old Red Center gate open, chairs tipped over as if a party ended in sudden panic. Hikers who dare to visit tell of feeling an unnatural chill, dark and sudden, even in summer. Some report hearing a steady metallic tapping from the direction of the abandoned mill. Though the machinery has been dead for decades, one snowmobile swears he saw a man in a heavy parka trudging along the road toward town. He slowed to offer a ride, only for the figure to fade into the blowing snow without a trace. Out here, the wilderness is vast, the isolation absolute, and yet, in constant, it never quite feels alone. Six, Quarry, Alberta. You drive through endless prairie until the land swallows the horizon, and there, half buried in the wind, is a rock. Founded in 1916, this tiny farming town once bustled with life, a general store stocked with flour and kerosene, the post office hung with gossip, children darting between the grain elevators. But the 1930s brought drought, dust storms, and the crushing weight of the Great Depression. Families drifted away, and Orion's heartbeat slowed to a whisper. Today, fewer than a handful remain, and the rest is silence. Yet silence here has a strange texture. Visitors describe hearing the faint jingle of a shop bell when they pass the boarded-up store, or seeing a curtain wait in an abandoned house where no one lives. One traveler, home-cooked flavor makes her want. The wind carries whispers across the empty streets. Words you can't make out, but can almost feel in your bones. And as you leave, headlights sweeping across the last siding, you notice its footprints in the dust, red ones, leading not toward town, but deeper into the dark. Seven. Heats up. British Columbia. You turn a corner in the coastal mountains and find something impossible. An entire modern town, perfectly intact, yet utterly deserted. Itzal was born in 1979, built for over 1,200 workers and their families after a massive molybdenum deposit was discovered nearby. It had everything: a hospital, a mall, a cinema, even a curling rink. Streets were paved, lawns manicured, and houses filled with brand new furniture. But within just 3 years, global molybdenum prices crashed. In 1983, the order came down. Everyone must leave. In a matter of weeks, the town was empty. And yet, it doesn't feel empty. The buildings are still immaculate, as if the residents stepped out for the afternoon and never returned. Visitors talk about hearing doors click shut in the still air, or catching the smell of fresh coffee drifting from the shuttered cafe. One explorer swears he saw the light of a television flickering through a living guards who patrol say the eeriest thing isn't what they see, but what they hear. The faint, rhythmic thump of a basketball echoing through the empty recreation center. They've checked more than once, no one's inside. And keep so. It's not decay that haunts you. It's the feeling that the town is still alive, waiting for its people to come home. Bristol Lake, Ontario. You follow a winding road into the forest and suddenly, there it is. Bristol Lake, a mining town that lived fast and died young. Born in 1959 around a copper mine, it was home to nearly 400 residents at its peak. Families filled the modest houses. Kids raced their bikes down gravel streets, and the mine roared with life. But by 1967, the copper market collapsed. In a single season, the town emptied. Homes, a school, a service station. Everything was left standing, like a stage after the actors have fled. Today, the air here is unnervingly still. Inside the old school, faded report cards lie scattered on the floor, and chalk remains on the blackboard, frozen mid-sentence. Visitors say they've heard the faint clatter of lockers closing, or the echo of children's laughter from the playground, though the swings haven't moved in decades. One photographer recalls stepping into the abandoned gas station to take a shot, only to hear the sound of a car pulling up outside. When he turned, there was no vehicle, no dust, no sign of anyone at all. Out here, surrounded by dense forests, you realize the truth in Virtual Lake. The engines may be cold, but something is still moving. Georgia, Alberta. Drive across the flat, endless prairies until a cluster of weathered buildings appears on the horizon. Dorothy, once a lively farming community in the early 1900s. Back then, the grain elevators loomed over the land like sentinels. The two small churches filled with hymns every Sunday, and the general store bustled with neighbors trading stories. But the trains stopped coming, farms failed, and families moved away. Now, only a handful of structures remain, their paint peeled, their windows like empty eyes, staring out at the wind. Step inside the old church and the air feels heavy. The pews are warm, the hymnals coated in dust. Yet sometimes a faint organ note drips through the silence. Visitors have sworn to hearing footsteps pacing the wooden floors behind them, only to find the building empty. Others have spotted a shadow moving past the windows at night, though there's no light, no power, no one inside. One traveler camping nearby woke to see a dim lantern light swaying across the field, moving slowly toward the abandoned grain elevator. It vanished just before reaching the door. In Dorothy, the land is wide, the sky infinite, but somehow, the past still walks these streets. Brighton, Saskatchewan. You drive along the lonely Redcoat Trail until the prairie swallows the horizon, and then you see it. Brighton, once a modest farming town. It thrived in the early 1900s, its streets lined with small shops, its fields golden with wheat. But the Depression years hit hard, driving families to seek work elsewhere. One by one, houses went dark. Now, only a single family remains, surrounded by dozens of empty homes that stand like silent witnesses to a vanished life. Wander through Brighton, and you'll hear nothing but the wind rattling loose shutters, until you realize the sound doesn't quite match the breeze. Visitors tell of voices drifting through the air, soft, conversational, but impossible to understand. A photographer exploring one abandoned town snapped a shot of the parlor and later saw, in the photo, a man seated in the chair by the window. The chair itself was covered in decades of dust. At night, the emptiness feels heavy. Locals say if you pass through on a moonless evening, you might see the warm glow of a lamp.
This fight is going to be unreal. Because people see is a wrecking machine. So I think it's fair to say that Islanders fans and NHL fans are very excited for the first overall pick from the 2025 NHL draft, Matthew Schaefer, to make his debut and to make his impact known with the Islanders. We honestly don't know 100% if that's actually going to be the case. I don't discredit the idea that Schaefer can get a 9-game sample with the Isles and then maybe go back to the OHL. Who really knows? He missed out on a lot of time last year, so I honestly do think that anything is possible. But if he is good enough to stick around in Long Island for the entirety of 25-26, I think that's pretty reasonable as well. However, Islanders fans probably are interested in not just Schaefer when it comes to young, left-handed defensemen that can make an impact on this team. And because for me, I cover a lot of teams in the NHL, and I'd say that the majority of the fan bases that watch these videos are not Islanders fans, I wanted to shine the spotlight on one of the other young, left-handed D that the Isles have in their system that is probably going to start cooking next year. Folks, I wanted to turn your attention to arguably the biggest Islanders steal in the system right now. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about Isaiah George. Yeah, that's right, an old classic Lego Marks 99 style commentary talking about a prospect that very few people actually know about outside of the fan base of the team that drafted him. But Isaiah George is a name that you need to be paying attention to because over the next 2 years, this guy could become a very, very solid top 4 defenseman. George is 21 years old, 6'1", 196 pounds, left-handed defenseman from Oakville, Ontario, Canada. And he was drafted by the Islanders in the 4th round, 98th overall, in the 2022 draft. Here's the thing about that draft season. If you go over to the draft rankings, you'll see that most of these outlets had him a lot higher than 98. Elite prospects had him at 35. Future considerations had him at 64. McKean's at 61. Bob McKenzie had him at number 69. But he ultimately slipped all the way down there to 98. Elite prospects themselves were super high on this guy, despite the fact that in 21-22, Isaiah George only had 23 points in 67 games. This is because this guy's bread and butter wasn't really point production. If you go over to the Elite Prospects draft guide that they posted about Isaiah George in that time frame, they said that he had the 3rd best 4-way mobility in the draft, and he was the 5th best neutral zone defender, not to mention being the 4th best defensive defenseman in the 2022 draft class. The scouting report back in this time frame read, at its best, the London Knights defenseman Isaiah George is an effortless puck carrier, darting past forward checkers with agility and power to create exits and entries, often on the same rush. His nearly form, perfect mechanical forward stride is a real asset in this regard. Those same skills translate to neutral zone defensive sequences where Isaiah George gaps up early, takes away the middle of the ice with a strong defensive stick, and closes with urgency and force at the right moment to end possession or force an uncontrolled play. All the scouting reports at the time talked about how Isaiah George was a really, really strong defensive defenseman, and that continued into his London Knights development in 22-23 and 23-24. Last season in 23-24, he had half a point a game with the A on his sweater for London, also posting up 12 points in 18 playoff games, an unexpected surge of offense out of the young Islanders prospect. This season, however, this guy ended up making such an impression that he ended up getting 33 games with the New York Islanders. And don't get me wrong, I'm going to go out there and vouch for this guy, but it's not like he got the call up right away because, oh, they thought he was ready. George was forced to fill in. This is what he did in those minutes. Yes, he only scored 5 points, but if you take a look at the impact that this guy had to open up as a year, I mean, in November 5th, Tuesday, 2024, he made his NHL debut, 15-minute stare against the Penguins, okay, but the next 2 games, he gets almost 24 minutes in a regulation win against the Ottawa Senators, and then he gets another 24-minute game in an overtime loss against the Devils. Lo and behold, Isaiah George, at the ripe old age of just 20 years old, was already getting tasked with near 20-minute plus production throughout the course of the Islanders' November and December period. And for the most part, you could say, he stood tall. No, he wasn't getting many points, but that's not really what you look at this guy for. At the same time, you can say that as the Islanders' team got healthy and as Isaiah George's presence on the Islanders was not necessarily as important anymore, the guy started to show some wear and tear. Towards the end of his New York Islanders stick, you could tell that he wasn't really as effective as the beginning, but it's kind of okay. The guy's 20, he's still a brand new NHL face who was thrust into that position out of nowhere. So considering the circumstances, even despite the disappointing end, I think he did just fine. Then he went back over to Bridgeport, wrapped up that season, had 14 points in 33 games over there, and the rest is history. And to help us out with how he performed, let's dive into some commentary from Islanders fans and writers about Isaiah George and what he showed off with the Isles. Stan went out there and tweeted this at the start of free agency in July. I don't think it would be wise to bet against Isaiah George. He held his own in a disastrous situation last year with the Bridgeport Islanders, and most of his brief NHL stint in very tough circumstances for a developing prospect. And he is still standing out. He's a great piece of the Islanders' future. But then you have some analysis done by Matt, Islanders Takes on Twitter. There's a really long write-up as to why this guy deserves an A grade for what he did to the Islanders this season. Dead last in the big club in his 33 games played with a .8 expected goals, bottom 3 on his goal percentage. Let's get the bad out of the way here first. Our last memories of Isaiah George in New York sweater were the images of a young kid struggling with the bigger, faster NHL game. A lot of you are going to remember that, see these numbers, and once again, I pop at the grade of an 8. It's going to feel sentimental, and I get it. But here we are. There is absolutely no doubt that I have favored Isaiah George as a prospect since his draft day. From A to B, I said everywhere, and to anyone who would or wouldn't have listened, that this kid should not have gone so late. He was arguably a top 3 technical speeder in the 2022 draft, and one of the most physically impressive kids available. No, he is a talent, but he's a freak athlete with a tremendous work ethic. All the character bites you like to see in the defense must exist, and he takes the job seriously because he loves the job. Sealing guys off, challenging the puck, controlling the gaps, retrieving the puck, and getting it out under pressure.
There we go. Chicken is fine. Wonder.
Loud consistently, and while that was/is a valid knock on his game, I've been extremely vocal with development there. Will become obvious once he has taken off a pairing with known top-dominant partners like Bach and had to step it up. The writer talks about how he had 4 games of pro experience when he was forced to play with the main Islander squad, and he absolutely showed out. He also made some mistakes, turnovers in particular coming out of the zone, that we couldn't hand wave over. Towards the end of his time with the Islanders, after he got hit by Max Domi, which was clearly very dirty by the way, he still had himself a negative 0.8 on-ice expected goal differential, which is 4th best for the Islanders all season long with defenders playing at least 300 minutes. That's pretty bonkers for, at the time, 20-year-old kid with with almost no NHL experience. The future is incredibly bright here, and was made even more obviously bright when George proceeded to absolutely smash his minutes on the top pair in Bridgeport, which was a pothole where he was leading their only serviceable team pairing all season long to the tune of 0.5 points per game, often leading their power play and being the stable on the PK. The grade of A is really down to the fact that he wasn't ever supposed to be an NHL player, and was largely extremely effective, with almost no experience, no time to practice as a first-year pro. Isaiah George is a top-floor defender that will anchor the blue line for a decade at least, but his floor right now is very clearly NHL regular. Just outstanding stuff. One of the brightest spots for an Islanders club that desperately needed bright spots last year. This is a very good player. I'll give it a like myself from my Twitter account here, but Isaiah George, the fact that this guy was a 98th overall pick, warrants him as a steal. The fact that he can provide NHL value from that draft position is amazing. And I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below how you feel about this Islanders prospect and his progression from junior hockey to the NHL. Where do you see him next year, and how good do you think he's going to be? Let me know in the comments on your opinions. I hope you enjoyed it. Please stay sure to listen on.
That's what shares are, basically our students. Also, a better team song. But the battle winner loses the friends today. It's the road to choose. Even still, that's not how the team goes at all. What can I say, Brock? I am an AI generated. I'm not very understandable. Brock, what the hell is this digital spot talking about? I learned that you guys. Anyway, I agree with you that the battle frontier is basically fucked. It's definitely an upgrade from the battle tower from the previous game. Now, at least the battle tower from the frontier is better than the one we had before. Battle guys never actually went through and beat the whole thing. They were working together with them. If they didn't, they were hopefully had to create a competitive team and get insanely lucky throughout each facility. I just really like the behind that. That's understandable for Rocket is still a commitment. You want it to be a team cultural match you like to actually go through and get things medals. Fuck off. I am a Pokemon master. I like how you call me a person that is developed what he's saying he does, but he actually wants to do it on everything on battle frontier though. Something that only like 0.1% of the Pokemon.
You don't worry about it, Scott. Really?
Got taxed today. Thanks for listening, Joe. Just real stuff is turning the whole team family. Unfortunately, we also have further stores that can be used to play down the water. Yeah, equally unfortunately, Rico here does pitiful damage in the early game. Still not regretting the decision to skip over Mudkip guy. Honestly, Mudkip is just so overdone in the YouTube players team. But I actually doesn't get my blood, despite how sweet his hair back. Also, I think the big stage evolution is started in the offense. Mark Hoffman's compared to those Mudkip and Swagger and the Buckets as part of the game and really to get like a good ball. Having get back to line is arguably the coolest mid-stage starter. It's just the last piece of bias because of how much I like the mystery done this year. I just go by on a pretty sick of theory, but he is literal trash in a playthrough of Pokemon Influence. Rico is good for Rockman, although not better than Mudkip, and he does begin replays until like level 30. And up until that point, they're listening to mine on a storm and maybe bullet seat two terrible moves. Jesus Christ, we aren't doing the best with hardcore and another block of Emerald Tiger. Which was a playthrough of the middle Emerald for the purpose of our entertainment. And guess what? Rico calls for entertaining the game play, having our standard color this game, but then to come back to touch on floor and find a strategy to the bigger I don't see why you're so pissed over this. Whatever comes goes with you, I just like being optimist. And most kids, this guy thinks he is coming at us with a bunch of level 3 workers. Doesn't he know you can level up your Pokemon? You can literally catch one-on-one within the first round of the game at a higher level than this guy. I was at Donald, I would have much rather have this guy just on a cast team and a silk or something instead of all these weak-ass bucks. It's not like these that make me want to use the speed up button, but I'm not sure about whether we should be allowed to do it. Besides, if I do that, it's going to mess up the background audio.
Christ.
So I honestly don't really know. That one's up to you guys. Honestly, guys, I'm cool with allowing each other to use the speed grind up. We should probably just use the game when we do it and to not jeopardize the audio quality.
That looks to me, boy. From now on, we can use the speed up button for battle. Irrelevant to the story, if the trainers have bullshit like this that we have seen before. That being said, we should hold off on using it in the overworld. The speed up button is a goddamn addictive drug, and you want to be using it in moderation.
All right, I'm glad you two could come to agree on that one. I'm almost done with this episode, but I'll just continue to play 3 more minutes for now. Goddamn, I'm getting a little tired of seeing Trico just pound all these little trains that don't.
Joe, for the love of God, just think about how the words you're about to say will sound when you say them out loud. But ignoring that, my encounter is coming up soon. Joe, you should be able to grab it early on in the next episode. I'm really curious as to what encounters you guys have in mind, and I'm excited to do them around that based on what's left in the basement.
Yes, release and fucking go. Wow.
Like Absol, Just Talk, All Day, and a lot of different experiences.
Donald, I hate to put your bubble, but there's no way to tell the decision of a food box this city to use in my life for that to me. That shit literally takes like 3 hours to get. And then we even have to grind up with human stuff in those Pokemon contest places. And even doing that is not easy on an emulator because of how janky it is making Pokemon blocks in this game.
Hey, can we talk about what just happened here? This random dude comes into the forest looking for a shrew mixer, which makes him think he's a trainer with his own Pokemon to defend himself with. But then as soon as this grunt shows up, he cowers behind a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, no, this guy's a team one person for sure, Joe. The worst part of it is this isn't even the only time we're going to have to protect this bitch ass.
Yeah, well, at least we did this stuff in time to save it, so I don't think. Also, this is our first encounter here with Team Austin. There was kind of snippet of the little team to this game. The little kind of weird, honestly.
Honestly, Octo Max, I thought it was on the fucking evil team in Pokemon. I really just don't understand anyone's motivation. The other games have evil teams that want to take over the world, liberate all Pokemon, all that sort of shit that makes sense. But these teams want to do what? Expand the teams like we did or something.
Yeah, I agree the motivation is a little bit crazy, but they aren't the worst villains in Pokemon. Team Lance believes that by expanding the land mass, they can create
That's a big fucking win in this run right there.
while Team Aqua are seemingly more radical. In their intention, they want to expand the city so they can wipe out the land and allow the world to return to its origin. There's actually a lot more lore than you're getting at first.
Obama, I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to have to agree with Joe. Despite the fact that the Bond's legendary, have the purest magical human Pokemon in the land and sky, these Pokemon really just don't do the trick. They also have the most idiotic set of leaders I can think of. Max is the top of the little T-Rex blowing up in one round like some shit. Archie is getting the blue team. I think I'll use the red one. So it's not even this far. What the fuck are they thinking?
None of the facts did he don't fucking know that. That being said, all the turmoil that happened in the late game of the evil team does lead to a pretty sustained cutscene with a great dodge of flying down from the head. That's the one part of it that I really have.
Well, at least we can agree on that part. That cutscene was revolutionary because of its complexity. Permanently explained it by life.
Hey, Barack, since you're about to finish up here, I want to take a minute to thank you for setting this up today. We started this first episode. I just hope Joe is going to be able to keep up the pace in the next one.
Like Lonely Donald, I have a grass-type Pokemon, and I'm going up against a bunch of years into this next episode. How hard can that be?
Well, Joe, it doesn't matter even if you have a fucking YouTube on your team. If you fall asleep while playing. Make sure to just take your medicine before you hop on this Pokemon.
Oh, I'll be taking my medicine, all right? Relying on other things right now, but I just want to know if you know what I'm getting at.
Joe, don't fucking joke about my wife. I think she is an incredible human being. The best human being. And I know a lot of human beings are the good thing you do.
I'm going to go ahead and pull it through the sky here and then cut it off. So, I will make sure to send you the save file so you can start this up next time.
Sounds good to me, Barack. Donald, I hope you know I'm just messing around with all the fun.
Yeah, come on, Joe. I'm aware. I'm looking forward to doing this again with you guys next time.
Here, it's again. Yeah, let me tell you.
everyone, welcome back to our Pokemon series where Rock, Donald, and I will play the Emerald to the champion battle. In this episode, I will be taking us through Rustboro City and taking on the gym leader there to be good at school.
I'd also like to start off here by reading out quick notes of the editor. So first off, you will notice that our avatars are a little different from last time. That's purely for the convenience of editing and overall aesthetic improvement. Secondly, the editor utilizes the transitions to colorize insignificant gameplay, mainly so that you keep a high pace of relevant gameplay for the group. This should make for a more enjoyable experience too.
Joe, did you actually just walk back into the woods and think we wouldn't notice? Did you forget to take your air step this morning? That's off balance. I'm just getting used to the controller. Oh, that's I haven't played this file yet.
Don't worry about him, Joe. Just keep pushing forward. Let's do the stuff that hidden items back here and then go into that house to the water pit.
Way ahead of me, Barack. There is no way I'm passing up on that flower shop. I can just imagine how many pretty young ladies are waiting for the attack. Jesus, Joe, if it's going to be a big thing, you really have to make everyone physically uncomfortable in the first minute of gameplay each episode.
Donald, I think you should let this one slide. The power shop building is fairly meaning they are at least the legal age, and that means Joe is making progress in the field.
Here's straight for that. Thanks for having me back. Oh, what was the love of God?
Find out.
Oh, I agree to go with the next thing. Thank you. Oh, hell no, I know what it's about berries. I know what's in the food. They use their charm to lure you in by complimenting your name. And then they want you to buy their city farm. That's like, I'm calling for that one. Okay, Joe, I really hate to get into the rabbit hole with you, but I just have to know. What product were you trying to do last time to make you need to say, not falling for that one again? All right, well, just last week I was just minding my business in the postal office when I got a call from the Girl Scouts of America on the 2 doors for these sponsorships. And then you guys have a lot So anyway, they send up 2 of their finest ambassadors, both with huge wagons. Oh, never mind. And so when I had my post it, I absolutely went to reading somebody pitch me. But I kept my cool as the situation required me at the top of my game.
I cannot believe you are a president.
But that's exactly the thing that started going down. Oh, my that's what started. One got closer to my desk and said in a sweet, angelic voice, Mr. President, sir, would you be interested in buying 1,000 gallons of this reluctant savory, irresistible chocolate chip ice cream? It's going like glitter to the and of course I said no to that ridiculous request.
Oh, thank God you're on board.
So I told him I would settle for nothing less than 10,000 gallons of this totally chocolate chip ice cream to be stored across Washington, D.C. at my license.
Please let that be done.
I needed to let them know that I am special.
Large. And it's coming.
Oh, you certainly succeeded with that one. But then here's the worst part of the whole story.
I heard that.
The ice cream was good. It was actually terrible. And so now I'm stuck here with 10,000 gallons of ice cream. What is the world supposed to do with it? Yes, and Joe, you gave me a speech.
Joe, that story is an absolute plain from the beginning to the end. I really did not know how to get into the work of continue that. If this whole presidency thing doesn't pan out, maybe pursue a career in industry. Because that would honestly take place.
Yeah, maybe like a horror novelist or something about dystopian society. I'm sure you can put down some great content of that nature. Thanks, guys. I love having such supportive friends. You know, these are hard times, so I like being able to open up to you guys. Jesus, what an absolute joke. Hey, editor, can you try to head past this goddamn human fight? It's going to take like 2 minutes, and hopefully by then, people have forgotten about this stupid ice cream debacle and start focusing on the gameplay.
It was done.
All right, glad that's out of the way. This could be pretty much a Rustboro City to us.
Technically, there is usually a mandatory summer battle right ahead of us, but since we only have one Pokemon in our party, they will only be the battle with us and that's pretty confident.
Okay, Rock, let's talk about this yet then. Considering Donald said we should be getting our next encounter in school, my God, Joe. It's not. Let's go. I can't do it, Rock. It's not like a game. Get a hold of yourself. Okay,
Me shut out.
over in this corner. Just
talk to him and hunt you down and bring you back home. You're going to get through this, okay, Joe, I promise. We're going to have to go back down through those trainers eventually. I promise we'll all get through this together, okay?
Not really, Joe. This is a big successful very when you're up if you accident to fall asleep on it. I'm here for the $1,000,000 to pay this. We're all one big team now, Joe. And considering we're about to go on this first gym together, we're going to need to act up and
Put the game. Okay, good.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry for freaking out. I think I'll be okay. I just got to start running around and keep my mind off this. There's plenty to do in the city, so hopefully I can keep myself distracted.
let's do it, Joe. How about you hop into the cold now real quick so we can adjust the power into this room?
That's a good idea, Barack. Should get these things moving at a steady pace. Also, this NBC here makes a good point. It might be worthwhile to buy a couple of super posters.
Okay, but go ahead and do this one. Okay, here you said super posters. That's good for it?
Joe, we need to wait all on one there. Five people, let's say we have a couple of each guys doing items, a couple of hotels, and a stapler for 2 hours. That should be fun for now.
Okay, 3 antidotes, there we go. Don't need any of these extra things. Escape weapons with guns. Okay, there we go. Perfect. I'm guessing I actually have some stuff I can sell also, so might as well take care of that over here. Let's see, X% for sure, and that's actually good. Okay, let's get out of here, boys.
And who does it? Now, there's a couple of great items around the city, so let's make sure we go find those around.
All right. That's enough, Joe. If you cannot handle talking to the 16-bit NBCs without climaxing, then you will no longer be allowed access to the save file. I pass it on.
I think the stupid thing is just hard in this one. So we can't do that.
Okay, get it out. Let's see what you got, please.
Rival, with a girl who I've never met.
Borderline cheating. So citizens pass this quality color. Try to keep that energy next time you're in that position. Remember that double battle will be happening whether you like it or not.
Okay, guys, that's fine. I'll be okay by then, I promise. Let's go ahead and search for those items you were talking about around. Wait, what's this little cutter's house? Stop that.
Sure. Go back to the Wizard Cutter's house. That's when we get to cut a gem, which we need to progress the story.
Actually, technically, guys, the villain never need to use the double gem at this place to defeat him. We needed his fire range experience, but it just allows you to get the extra items, battles, and encounters in the game. That in mind, yes, we obviously consider that.
Okay, that's not at all what I had in mind. You know, they really should not have a sign outside of their door that just says Cutter's house. That is incredibly impressive, especially if you're actually getting the right tree stuff. Wait, what the hell is this guy who's shooting with the hell is this guy?
If you stop the battle from here, guy, that you mistakenly referred to as Wayne in the last episode. But yeah, what did you do?
Well, it actually is scouting out for talented strength. Which is pretty cool, honestly, because it foreshadows that he has something planned in the future for expert trainers. What's actually creepy is this guy in front of the classroom here.
Wait, where's he going?
Oh, wait, I remember now. This is what you're going to do.
Yeah, this guy literally said that students who are slacking in class get shanked by this quick claw. I have no idea how they got away with this one. That's that Japanese disciplinary action right there.
I couldn't care less if it's a great item. Hey, do me a favor, skip the gym with the 9 days to go over. My encounter is finally coming up.
All right, I'm excited. I know the grass is all the way to the right here, but I'm going to explore it really quick. If I remember perfectly, I was something real good. Yes, super potion. Okay, yeah.
All right, John, I'm excited too. Last time we had a new member to the team. I have a couple of ideas for those positions.
All right, come on, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Ah,
Fuck, get this thing out of the cage. That's not a Pokemon that's really just a cicada. Why is it here?
Okay, now hold on, Joe. I think you could actually go ahead and attack this guy to be our cut user. In battle, cut is a bad move. And we can't really lead it off, we said, until like this fifth in. So we can put it on a Pokemon we don't care about, like this little guy.
Oh shit, okay, that's actually a two that I should help it out. I will go ahead and do that. Okay, but does our ancient slave have to be the stupid kid though? Technically, we could go back and take the books to do. That way we can have a cut user with the pickup ability, so we can actually get some items on the side.
That's a good point, Donald. It would have been smart. But in case it can actually have a useful ability to us too, with compound high. You see, outside of battle, if you have a compound-eyed Pokemon leading the party and running through a wild Pokemon, and if that wild Pokemon has a chance to hold an item.
Oh, Christ. Here we go.
It is really helpful if not spawn to supply boosting items with rare berries or something.
Same for rocks, just ain't necessary.
I never did it.
Alright, now, let's see if you can't get your action. Come on, baby, come on, baby.
Ooh, a Russian. Ooh.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to side with Donald here. This thing absolutely blows in their face.
Fine. Wizmar is the type of Pokemon you really just need to give a chance to. If not Wizmar or Nikata, then what the hell are you looking for, Donald? I'm looking for this baby right here. Oh my God, what is going on? So you didn't want the Wizmar, there we go. I don't want the fucking Wizmar. Ezra, can you please help us out here?
Ooh, what the fuck?
So that is fine, Joe. I can let this guy see this is the coolest anime of all time. No question.
Holy shit, that's Flash and Fire, because that literally looks like swinging out.
So got the table back in the room, so the ground
Are you fucking still? Oh, never mind, I don't care. It's here and it's now, Joe. Thank you for your patience. Please catch this beautiful picture.
You can download anything that gets rocks from bed. There's nothing else about anime.
I said one thing about how this ass and Pokemon anime, and he just won't stop talking about Kong.
I'm prepared, I think. Hey, Donald, why do you want to tailor so badly? Maybe it's just a starter.
A starter bird like Barack, which is a finisher bird. A bird to God. To God, I say. Don't you fucking run from it. Catch him in a great ball, but he is a great Pokemon. Joe, please, okay, to stop your phone.
57 points. Shit. Okay, wow. 10 power goals. 7 game winners.
Rock the red, white, and blue, baby. That's not even all. This bird is going to be Falco, the greatest baby character in this. And you know who plays Falco Mango, who is literally the embodiment of America. If you can think of a better cat, just fucking tell me already. Okay, so let me guess. I'm naming this guy Mango. You're damn right you're naming it Mango.
All right, Donald, I can't lie to take the paper out of the bag. Give me this one. The fact that it's the week of the 4th of July makes it all better. God bless the U.S. is fucking hanging and Mango, I guess.
All right, let's check this bird. Dorsey, I love that. Dorsey Mango. What is that to the rock?
14 is the neutral nature. Like that thing comes out like that.
Joe. All right, Joe, go ahead and let Joe take on this pussy bus trainer over here. We probably don't even need to show the gameplay. It's going to be a match.
All right, now roll here is the back to the room. Are you sure that you don't know?
Rock, I don't give a shit about what the viewers do or do not know. Look at this screen. It's literally a bird versus a worm right now. Extra garbage to pictures, Joe. They left their deep in battle with over the stars and group. We're going to go ahead and finish up this trainer and a couple around us to get some experience. We'll beat you guys back in the open. All right, boys, I think I'm ready. Hell yeah, Joe, you're about to clown in this gym. I can see it. Donald, I don't give a shit about this gym. I'm talking about the actual luring threat that's over the time. I'm talking about the Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts. I mean, you're right. Let's go take on the Girl Scouts. I'm proud of you for marching on this brave journey to defeat one of your many irrational enemies.
And so am I, Joe. Remember, this is a double battle, so the order of your party is important to you. Make sure Taylor and Pico are the two front Pokemon. And Taylor should be last and last.
Okay, Ryan, thank you for reminding me, Ron. All right, Papa Joe, to do this, there's just a couple Pokemon trainers, nothing more, nothing less. Steady breath. And just quit getting like 10 times because it's a fucking Pokemon game, you'll be okay.
Are you feeling better about yourself for this? After that growth stepped on? So how about now that you see 2 level 6 gas types and you have a mango inside?
See, Bill, absolutely nothing to worry about here.
Okay, well, honestly, now I can just see Trico shooting his seed out of his dick while hitting his teeth holes. I literally cannot unsee it. And I have forgotten everything else that was important about this
So,
film.
what's the actual hell is wrong with your brain?
All right, that's amazing. That sounds like best case scenario for everyone here, Joe. Now that we're taking care of all the fingers here, I think it's finally time we go take on that game. What do you think, Joseph?
Well, we have rockets in there to be except for this transition. Whoa, how did we get here?
Hey, folks, that was clever, Joe. I didn't think you were capable of that. All right, so all these bitches could have a bunch of POVs. Can we do this one fight and then just skip ahead to the end of that?
Yeah, that works for me. We're still just going to be switching payloads around here to share the experience. And we aren't actually listing anything because I don't believe any of the communities actually have any rosters.
Perfect. We'll just leave you all up on the schedule here.
All right, it's finally here, boys. This was a long anticipated fight. It should be pretty easy, Bill. You're so smart. We would have to get pretty unlucky for things to go poorly here, but it's happened to many others. So let's stay positive.
With really Pokemon, yeah. I'm going to switch into Trico and sweep your whole team, bitch.
Hold on, Joe. Remain focused. Focus on the pile of rocks in front of you, okay?
Okay, you'll see I have wait, no, I need to get the fuck out of here, yeah?
Yes, Joe, good shit. Switching to the guy that wins the game by looking at things. That's my president right there. So goddamn smart.
Whoa. Whatever happens to playing like a deep hunter. No need to be so passive.
Yeah, that's okay. I definitely want to heal some of that back. That did more damage than I thought.
Let's go.
Hell yeah, Joe. That's what I'm fucking talking about right there. Keep that up and we'll be through here in no time.
Okay, you're right, Donald. Joe, you might be the only one who's playing right now, but all 3 of our products are in this one. I believe in you, Joe.
You're doing great. Just keep your composure, Joe.
Hell yeah, Johnny. I'm about to suck this rock hard steel to be dry. And
Oh my God, Joe, please.
So I'm not going to ignore it. Only one Pokemon left, Joe. Let's bring it home, baby. Come on, Rico.
All right, I highly doubt we're going to be able to one-shot this guy unless we give him 5 hits before we see him.
all right, this is going to be roughly worse than that. Holy shit, what the hell is that? Is that a fucking nose on its head?
Yes, Joe, look into the left.
Okay, well, for us, it's just 5 hits of both speed, say left. Let's just wrap this up, Sky. Moment of truth, boys, hold your breath.
There's 2.
There's 3. There's 4, no way. Come on.
Hydra Senpai Drops, made with a naturally sourced lubricant that works to attract and retain moisture.
Coming face, start close.
Ashman, give me my weapons.
Out of my way, Petra. Jay, meet the gods.
Gods! Wait.
Hey, Petra.
Get to the spot. Next game. Lost I can, lost I can.
the only way out now. It's through there.
Don't worry. I'll answer for you. Are you ready? Make me throw! Keep it on under you. No pushing. You're the seven.
To get out of this miserable hole, I need to die or win, correct?
Right. Got an answer games. You have. Biggest day of the week for these sets.
Very well. I want that, and that, and those.
Excellent choices. You can have this. This. These.
And that protects.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The crowd will love it.
More than 2 minutes. I would cut the balls from any man who tried to make me. Ignore them all. Just focus on what's coming out of that gate. What is coming through that gate? It'll be anything. I have a wooden sword. I guess it's not a giant beaver then.
Why do they ever dress you up then?
Grab nothing. Why?
He wants us to fight. Each other. No. We have to. One of us dies. Or we both die. We are that mighty. By goodness, I will fight you, Sonia. I will not fight her for your entity. I will fight you or harm you. Attack! I'm sure the swamp would enjoy that.
This one's touched by madness.
It's such a shame she's about to die. Let's put it that way.
Richard! Good shot. Well done.
Richard, I'm sorry.
Petra! Petra! Move back to me!
Rise and shine, sleepyhead. Principal Weems. But you can have SpongeBob. What the hell is this? This isn't hello, Miss Adams. But I understand the confusion. If I'm not dead, then why are you here? Because I am your new spirit guide. Surprise!
Tyler's still out there. He has plans to kill both of us. I'm going to fix it.
Fix it?
You're the reason he escaped.
She's got a point.
Stay out of this. Who are you talking to? Now what? We don't solve anything in this family with words. We do it with deeds. This is dirty.
What part of it? Every family has dark chapters, we say.
There's never a time to burden yourself with the truth. Now is it. Life hangs in the balance.
If you don't hurry, you'll have nothing left to save.
Beware. There will be a price to pay.
This video is an AI-based parody created for satire and entertainment purposes. All voices, conversations, and scenarios are artificially generated and do not represent the actual opinions, actions, or voices of any individual mentioned.
You know, Trump, I've never played Dodge. God knows it's quite the challenge. Maybe it's time to give it a shot.
You and Sleepy Joe never played Dark Souls. I've conquered it multiple times. Nobody conquers games like me. But hey, I'll watch you play and I'll give some tremendous advice. You should call up Obama too. He's been through the Dark Souls trial.
That sounds like a plan, Trump. Maybe you can learn a thing or two about strategy. You know, something other than building walls and Minecraft.
Oh, very funny, Joe. At least I don't get lost in that information. I don't think you're ready for this. So very God.
Trump.
You survived Dark Souls. Let me call up Obama while you pick up the game.
Sometimes, one of the names would hop on and told you about the water, but anyway, I'm going to come into it.
Barry, quit letting your husband boss you around. But it turns out Joe over here has never played Dark Souls. So I figured you and I could watch this catastrophe unfold.
Y'all jump the hell up. This is good. Because, you know, you're just like the character in the game. Good. Control it all around. Look for them. And you come like that. Good.
I didn't consider that, Barry, but you're right. Joe's only ass was probably born before the first place.
You can shut up so I can start the game already? Oh, the character creation screen reminds me of the good old days back when I lived in a castle with knights and dragons. Well, maybe not dragons, but we did have a pet lizard once.
Oh my God, Joe, you're so old I can't tell if that story is true or if your dementia flaring up.
Maybe you're confusing my experiences with your alternative facts. But hey, at least I have stories to tell, not just tweets to delete.
What would you sound like me? What side are you going to play, Joe? I personally enjoy either the pyromancer or the cleric for faith.
Nah, those classes are ass, bro. Gotta do a dex for base build for maximum damage.
Five, that seems interesting. Wonder what this is all about.
Oh, what the fuck?
Well, they'll Joe enjoy that nice view there.
I think I'm just going to go with the warrior class. This armor reminds me of the suits I used to wear back in the Senate.
I say go with the witch here. Most of this stuff is useless, and the master key is better for second playthroughs. But the ring will get more dialogue later in the game.
As long as you don't take the pendant, damn me is not control the whole community for a year with that thing.
Oh shit, look, they even have the drill done.
The only times you can use certain cards with me is either my bank account or my turnouts when I host rallies.
I bet Melania wishes something else was very wrong.
At least I'm married to an actual woman, Obama.
Fuck you, Don. Let's see what's on my face. Oh, wow. I didn't know you were into getting married. Oh my God, Bill, think you're dementia, Bill. Your racism is starting to show.
I wouldn't worry about the face details, Joe. You'll barely see your character because of the armor and whatnot. And besides, your character is about to look more like you after you finish making him.
Not really sure what you mean by that, Johnny, but all right then. All right, I think I'm finally done here. Just got to put a name here. Joey, the hero of Dark Soul.
Let's do this.
Prepare to die.
Oh gosh, I can't wait.
Also known as Joe's birthday.
Donald, shut up. But I will admit this reminds me of my younger years, you know. The days before color television. We used to call it shades of gray back then. And you know, the world is actually really like that. Color wasn't made real. It's still about.
Wilson, to be quiet. This is literally the plot of the game, and you're talking over.
People magically showing up, just like the 200,000 ballots that magically showed up in Wisconsin.
Is that a dead guy made up of the corpses of 1,000 dead guys?
That's really something.
That was terrible, Barry.
Boy, I sure wonder what their hair smells like.
For God's sake, Joe. So easily forgotten.
Did you do the petition? Confusing. Okay, turn it on now. I want you to turn it on at night. So just turn it on now. Turn it on now. I want you every night before you go to bed or even when you come back from work or dinner, let's wake up for dinner. Okay? So after dinner, I want you to turn the dishwasher. Okay? So by the time you go to bed, it's going to be quiet. But don't wait for the next morning.